Ooh, I sense this one being divisive. Curious to hear what people's thoughts on this film are. Will The Matrix Resurrections be another years later sequel that relies heavily on nostalgia, with reenacting moments from the other movies, mentioning events from them, reminiscing about trivial little things? Yes, absolutely, it's one of those films. And we've had a lot of that lately, with Ghostbusters Afterlife turning into the first Ghostbusters in the second half and focusing in on a Twinkie, to characters from all sorts of Spider-Man franchises coming into Spider-Man No Way Home. But in terms of movies that serve as a years later sequel that reflects back very fondly on previous films, what they do here with The Matrix Resurrections is very, very different from all of those movies I just mentioned. This movie is way less Force Awakens or Ghostbusters Afterlife, and reminded me a lot more of something like Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Discussions and memories and themes of the other films are factored heavily into the plot of this, and boy do they not show you that in the trailer. The movie really feels like it's about Lana Wachowski being asked for years to make a fourth Matrix movie, getting annoyed by it, and then having to listen to a lot of, I think it's about this, I think it's about that, well I think it's about this, or wasn't this cool, or wasn't that cool, and then she writes all of that down into a script and makes an entire movie out of it. So what we have is like a satire of Matrix fever from 1999 and movie studios wanting to capitalize on nostalgia. Plus it's also a cool love story and still a batshit action movie that has a chase scene where bodies are being possessed into jumping out the windows and used as human bombs. Honestly, I can see people not getting into the movie, I do, but for me, I really did enjoy the hell out of it. I do have qualms with it, sure. The movie uses a lot of cutaways and clips from the other movies. Now, one thing that does hold up for me about the first one is how all of the standout special effects and techniques are worked into the story, and there's context for those sequences looking like this, as opposed to just showing off effects. Here, with the cutaways, there are times when it's like that. There's a part where they even mention clips in the movie. Then it reaches a point where it's like, yeah, okay, you can stop with this now. They do a lot of good things with referencing events of the others by way of critiquing them. And then, yeah, there's times when they're like, hey, remember when we ate this? Oh, that was gross. There's a lot of the supporting cast I like. Neil Patrick Harris brings a lot of personality to his role. But then there's a returning character from the sequels under really unconvincing makeup, and these scenes really do feel like what you would see in a generic sequel. Really, a lot of the real-world scenes feel like this, and they're the least interesting part to me. Because in these parts, I was reminded how the first one did this better. Also, there's some characters that say they're the characters from the others, but don't really feel like it. Other than that though, I really did love the clever little spin they put on this series. I don't think everyone will enjoy the hard turn that it makes, but I thought it was refreshing. I thought it was a clever commentary on nostalgia-bait sequels. I don't know how much rewatchability it has. I could see myself still watching the first one a lot more. It's been too long since I've seen the second one, so I don't know how to compare it to that, but I definitely know I liked this better than the third. I'll give it a very high B+. There's some laggy parts, but I did get caught up in this flick. Thanks for watching, everyone. The new Cinema Snob episode on Christmas Evil is fighting the same company that hit Private Lessons last month, so it may take as long as that one did to clear. But you can still see it over at our Patreon at patreon.com/thecinemasnob. See you next time.